If you told me 3 days ago I'd be standing here with one arm and one testicle trying to reason with you bitches. Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show where two assholes either watch movies that are a guilty pleasure or they descend into madness with a hate watch. Hi, I'm your host, Melanie, and for this one, I'm just going to slug back this NyQuil that I've been drinking off and on for the last 3 weeks because it'll give me the same fucked up dreams that are probably better than this movie that we watched. Yes. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just kidding. I picked out the weirdest alcohol I have, and it's this little bottle of mezcal. So that's going to be interesting. So, AJ, hi.
What's up?
What are we talking about?
Another Nicolas Cage film.
Oh, God, this one.
That is actually worse than Jiu-Jitsu. We were really hoping it wouldn't be.
Oh, holy crap. It's like drinking tequila and nail polish remover.
Oh.
Woo! I'm just going to have a little bit.
Fuck that.
It's like self-inflicted punishment, which is what watching this movie was like.
Yeah, we had high hopes.
We had high hopes. So we were walking through Walmart, which that in and of itself, you know. So we were walking through Walmart and we were looking at the movies, and sometimes they have weird things in there. And we saw this Nicolas Cage movie, and it has this samurai stuff on it, and it says, "Prisoners of the Ghostland." And the quote at the bottom is from the man himself, "The wildest movie I've ever made." And on the back it says, "If you're a fan of bold and outrageous, get on board and hold the F on. Straight out insanity from beginning to end. A rollicking post-apocalyptic battle royale. Nothing short of breathtaking." Bull fucking shit!
It was none of
God
these
damn it,
things.
this movie. Oh my god. It wasn't even like a fun hate watch. It was painful.
No, because
we wanted it to be a guilty pleasure.
it seemed like it was gonna... Oh my...
It seemed like it was gonna be amazing.
It took forever to exist, and yet nothing happens. But there's a bunch of shit not going on, but there's a bunch of shit to talk about, but nothing happened.
There's a bunch of shit that happens, but it doesn't necessarily further the story. The story itself is pretty simple. And I think that's what they're going for. It's from a Japanese director, and you have a villain, a hero, and a damsel in distress, and that's it.
Yeah. And fuck whoever made the previews, because we got our hopes up.
Oh, okay, no, wait. But we didn't know they were previews, so we turn on the DVD, and immediately you start seeing praises like, "Sundance Film Festival calls this the greatest, blah, whatever." And it starts to look like, almost like this 70s grindhouse horror film.
Yeah.
With red and all these crazy images and stuff. And we're like, whoa, this is going to be a wild ride. It's kind of weird that they're doing a preview for their own movie on the DVD, but okay, let's roll with it.
They did that in the 2000s sometimes. Like, they would randomly have, like, the first preview is the movie you're about to watch, and you gotta skip that so you can watch the other previews and shit. And so I just thought it was, like, a weird callback to that. And we got all hyped up, and there was blood.
It was like
and weird
Phantasmagoria,
weapons.
Suspiria type of 70s looking stuff.
Like mixed with a little bit of Never-Ending Story, but like for adults or something. And then,
there's a part where two guys are dueling with chainsaws.
And we're like, shit, this is what we're about to watch. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mandy.
It was a
totally different movie.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, they had me totally reeled in, and they're like, Mandy, and I think, oh, okay, well, you kind of got me a little excited there for a moment, but that's all right. Maybe this means this movie will be in that same vein.
No.
And so there's another trailer, and I just read this story. I'm just getting into reading H.P. Lovecraft. I know he was problematic, but I'm interested in cosmic horror and his stories. And so I just read The Color Out of Space, and that's really the first and only piece by Lovecraft that I've ever read, and I absolutely love it. And so I knew this existed, but I hadn't really seen much about it, and it was a preview for The Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, and it's a modernized version. The story itself, I think it was supposed to take place in maybe the late 1800s, early 1900s. So some things are going to be different, but
I mean,
it looks kooky enough that
if anyone could do a Lovecraft movie,
Nicolas Cage would be the man.
So those early preview, those are the first two recommendations.
Oh, and Tommy Chong is he's a Native American in The Color Out of Space.
So those look super interesting. So those are the first two recommendations in adverse to this one.
Yeah, so we're like, cool. This is gonna be some weird shit. Let's do this.
We were we were sorely mistaken.
So then the movie starts, and we're like, oh, sweet. Even the music on the DVD is nice. So let's play the movie, and it starts out...
Squid Game.
It's basically, yeah.
That's what we thought. We're like, oh, Squid Games?
It was kind of that Squid Game aesthetic where it was a big white room, and it was...
A lot of bright primary colors.
And Asian people.
Yeah.
So,
Except
they were Japanese.
they're Japanese.
Not Korean. We know the difference. So it turns out Nicolas Cage and another dude comes in and he yells bonsai and cocks a shotgun, and it's a bank robbery. So we discovered that they're in this kind of fantasy land called, what is it?
Samurai Town.
So it's sort of a hybrid mashup of the Wild West and Japan.
It's weird because Nicolas Cage, the way he talks, he sounds like the way maybe a Japanese person would think to write maybe a sort of vaguely racist American. Because he's like screaming fucking bonsai and shit for no reason. It doesn't make sense in that. And he doesn't speak Japanese.
No, there are other white people in the movie who speak Japanese. So
badly.
There's a bank robbery, and it's kind of done as a dream sequence, which happens a lot in this movie.
Oh, this same one.
And
this
there's
exact same one.
Implied,
4 times.
A child dies. So it basically looks like the Epcot version of Japan. So that's the opening. And then there's also a woman, and this is also kind of a dream sequence. It looks like she's with a bunch of geishas, and she's escaping. But then she wakes up in this shitty hovel and screams out, "I'm not a prisoner!" And then immediately title card, Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Which, a little on the nose, and I
don't know why
it's...
there, like, yeah, you're a prisoner, bitch. So...
I don't know what prisoner of.
So I guess what the director was going for was, like, a Japanese Western fantasy.
Yeah.
You know who did science fiction fantasy better?
Stephen King. Yep.
Yeah, with the Dark Tower series.
And Cowboy Bebop, which it's a sin, but I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it either. Well, that's a recommendation to ourselves. So you open on a jail, and it looks like a Wild West jail kind of thing, and then everybody's like, ooh, the governor's coming to town. Ooh, the governor. So...
Boss Hogg, basically.
The governor is played by a guy named Jake Mosley, I think. And it's interesting that this was a Japanese-made movie, but the people in power... are white people.
Yeah, there's some weird messaging going on here.
Yeah, so he's very much, he looks like Boss Hogg. I like the look. It's all white cowboy hat down to his boots, except these red leather gloves. So you know there's something kind of evil about him, and he has terrible dialogue. Like, you think this guy's probably a better actor.
I've seen him in other things. I know he's good.
But
in this.
Don't mess my white shoes up.
So if you were ever in high school or college and you had you have a 1,000-word essay and you had to pad it out, like you were looking up shit in the encyclopedia and thesaurus and whatnot, that's what he sounds like when he's talking to everyone.
He's a mean-looking cuss, ain't he? They say you're a veritable phantasm. That you have slipped through the firm grasp of the law more than any other man on God's great earth.
My granddaughter is missing, and I want her returned to me in full body post haste. He's like a Wish version of a Tarantino villain.
And he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yes, and so he goes to the prison, and he gets Nicolas Cage, who I guess we find out later what happened to the other guy, but Nicolas Cage had nothing but a loincloth. And so he is chosen to go rescue this guy's granddaughter, and her name is Bernice.
And the only reason we're really given is because the leverage that the governor could let him go. There's no reason to pick him. He's not shown to be some big badass. He just happened to try to rob a bank.
He was like the one guy they had in the jail.
And later he turns into John Wick.
This is kind of a ripoff. The other movie that we had stuck up, the Suicide Squad, where they're like, you better go do this or we're gonna blow your head up. So what he does is he makes him strip down naked, and everybody's like, luckily we don't see it. We don't. Yeah, this is kind of funny. Somebody's sketching him, and they sketch him in the loincloth, and then he takes it off, and so they erase where his private parts are. So they put him in this leather suit, and maybe this is where they kind of got the battle royale idea. There are these lights on his arms,
and
on his balls and right at his neck. And so there's a ticking clock. So if he tries to strike a defenseless woman, the things on his arms will blow up.
Yeah, so later he's like starting to get riled up at what's her name, Bernice.
Well,
and they start to beep.
Like a warning.
It starts to...
And then also Boss Hogg says, and there's
one at each testicule.
And so if he has improper thoughts or gets a little too, it's like he's going to do something, naughty.
I want her unsoiled or something nasty
gross
shit like that.
So it'll blow up his balls.
But somehow not his dick.
So he's walking around with glowing balls the entire movie. And then, of course, the collar at the neck is, if he tries to take it off, it'll blow up. He has to have her speak her name into this thing on his arm to prove that she's with him, and that'll give them extra time. I think he has 3 days, and it'll add 24 hours. And then if he doesn't return her by the end, it blows up and blows his head off.
5 days total.
He's got 5 days, and then Boss Hogg has the key that will save him. So...
and before he even leaves town, they do this multiple times. There are groups that are fighting other groups, and we don't know why. Like, there were people already fighting Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah. Like,
before
samurai
he even got started.
Cowboys and samurai guys.
And then he, and then flipped one guy, and then the Jiro, which is... He reminds me of... If you watch The Righteous Gemstones, the guy that follows around Kelvin Gemstone... I can't remember
remember his name either.
Whatever. He's like his...
The former Satan worshiper?
Yes. He's that guy, because he always looks like sort of confused about what he's doing with his life, and like he wants to do good, but he's a little pouty about it. And he gets involved, kills whoever's trying to kill Nick Cage for reasons we don't know, and then they're like, here's a Porsche, and they throw him a key.
And then, tell what happened. So stupid.
This was funny, but I didn't understand it. He gets in the car, he turns it on, it looks like he's confused about how to drive it. He doesn't even move, and then he just... Fuck it. And he gets out of the car, he runs over, he grabs a bike, and he gets on... It's like a shitty kid's bike with a basket in the front. And he gets on and starts riding away, and there's one dude in the group that's like,
so cool.
So then this happens almost immediately.
Within 30 seconds.
Yeah, we see like a bus and these samurai guys with fog around it.
Oh, no.
No?
You're jumping ahead of the best part.
Oh, what's the best part?
He takes off on his bike, and he gets without...
Oh, that's right,
He gets out
okay.
of the sight of the people, and Boss Hogg is like... He gives the key to Jiro instead. Jiro drives off, cuts him off, like... I don't know, Fast and Furious style. Gets out of the car, gives him the key again, and Nicolas Cage is like...
Not much time, huh? All right.
And he gets back in the car and he drives away. So he knew how to drive the whole time. I don't understand.
It was funny with the bike.
Because it was just this wide pan shot of Nicolas Cage, like...
On a bike that was a little too small.
So that was cool, but I don't know why.
But then they went back and they gave him the car, and then the Mad Max thing happens.
And yeah, then he's driving down the road in Mad Max Samurais.
They're just standing there and then crash. I don't know if he thought he was going to drive through them. There's a reason. We figure out who these...
we figured...
No, not at this point. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. So he wakes up on a cart in Shittown. And it's kind of like in Gladiator, where he gets kidnapped and you see him laying down on the cart. I wonder if they kind of stole that imagery too. And he's being pulled along. So Nicolas Cage is on this cart and these people are pulling him along, and he sees another girl on another cart and she's like, oh, I think I know Bernice. And he's trying to figure out where he is.
Random.
And the whole thing feels like this. It's like if high schoolers put on a one-act play about the apocalypse.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was maybe
very,
like Kabuki inspired.
Kind of.
Because it's supposed to be over the top a little bit.
Because there are characters that kind of dance and chant.
There's full-on singing of the whole group at random moments in the movie. And we don't know what they were singing, and we don't know why. And it happens, and everybody goes,
yeah. So,
and then they cut. And there's fucking... There's Wizard of Oz, Asian, Japanese, like, monkey men with wings and shit.
That was Rat Man. And then also, a bunch of people do a dance with, like, toilet paper.
Fine. I'm a man. Man right here.
Yeah.
Which would be very timely in, say, you know, March 2020. But all the townspeople do this dance, and then meanwhile these dudes are always, like, tugging on the hands of a clock, and I can't tell if has time stopped and they're trying to get it going again, or if time starts again, all will be lost.
And the end makes it even more confusing.
Yeah,
and
so
they're like, we're out of time.
So this is the Ghostland, and there are mannequins that we find out there are people kind of trapped inside because they have lost the will to live or whatever.
There's a guy that just walks around,
puts
like,
pieces on people.
Like, he's the one covering the people in the mannequins, but I don't know if he's part of the reason or if he's just like, you got dead
soul.
face. I'll just cover you up.
So time stops, and then they notice that he's bleeding. And they're like,
No, don't touch me. Don't touch me. No. Let go. No.
oh my God, it's the prophecy. So they go in to attack him.
Because his blood was thick. So he's got cardiac arrest, and they're like, he's the prophecy man.
He's got thick red blood. I'm like, don't you all?
So
okay,
he finally gets up off the cart.
Go! Christ off you! I fucking ya!
You think I'm a great guy?
Hi fucking yeah!
Hi fucking yeah!
It's like he's some weird racist white dude that just dropped into Japan and he starts saying Japanese things that are stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like, I'll karate chop you and shit like that.
That was
like,
really funny. So then the issue is resolved a little too quickly because one of the mannequins, he pops off a piece and he's like, oh it's
there
Bernice.
he is.
She can't speak. She's just kind of dead inside. Like, she's alive, but her spirit is gone.
And he's trying to take her with him, but there's this asshole named Enoch who...
another white guy who's in charge.
I don't know why his name is Enoch. Like, as in from the Bible. The lawyer of the angels, basically, is the name of this dude. And he doesn't do anything. He holds a book, and he tells stories.
I think at one point he's reading Wuthering Heights.
Okay, because you never know what the stories are.
Oh, God, that stuff is... Oh.
You never know what the stories are that he's reading. He just reads stories.
I should really take a shot of this.
Ugh. And, that's it. So he's like, you can't take her. She's got no will to live. She has to get the power of her voice. It's impossible. Nah! And he just screams shit. And then Nicolas Cage goes and fixes what he was screaming about, and then he just stands there like a bitch. Like, that's his role the entire movie.
Oh, Enoch standing there like a bitch.
So, yeah, just like...
So Nicolas Cage, who I think his character is just called Hero, he takes Bernice away on a cart because she's just like, I can't walk. And so then he gets the crap off. Oh, that was so annoying. He was taking the mannequin pieces off.
He kept screaming, take it off. Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off. Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off. Baby, take it off. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off.
Okay, so he starts to make her drink water, and somehow that gets him going?
Kind of gets him excited. He makes one of those Nick Cage faces,
huh?
like his Casper Troy face or something.
And we start to hear, no, and
one testicule
is gone.
His nut blows up.
He picks it up. He picks it up. It's like, what the fuck? And he just drops it.
You got some cat fries there, boy.
And he passes out.
Because his
and
nut blew up.
So we can get another flashback dream sequence. It's just multiple times that he has the same dream where we see more.
Here's basically what happens. He and his friend, who's just named Psycho, rob a bank. And now, of course, Nicolas Cage is supposed to be kind of the good guy because he just wants to take the money. He doesn't want to kill anybody. His friend shoots multiple people, including a little boy.
He starts by pointing at a little boy, and that's when they start fighting over...
Yeah. They fight over the gun, which I kind of think maybe if you hadn't grabbed for the gun, he wouldn't have shot him. But
also, he's just like, he turns around and his... Okay, one, this is like the cutest kid ever.
He is a cute kid.
He's adorable. And he's being really nice. He's like, I'll give you a gumball. And he's like holding up this
cute
cup
kid.
of gumballs.
He's not even making sudden movements or
and
anything.
this dude that looks like Dolph Lundgren fucked Sylvester Stallone and had a baby.
And put eye makeup on.
Yeah. He could be like the new Frankenstein's monster. But first he's scanning the crowd, and as soon as the kid's like, gumball, he's like,
oh, he's got a gun.
I don't like the look of this kid. And that's when Nicolas Cage, you're gonna kill a fucking kid? And obviously everybody dies afterwards.
Yeah, so then what happens, and I don't know if I'm combined, who cares? This is what happened in Nicolas Cage's past. So they run outside, and he and his friend are like fighting, and the cops come and they start shooting at them. So they shoot at his friend, and I think they take him, and they shoot at Nicolas Cage, and then also, so Nick Cage runs into the crowd. Dumbass cops shoot into the crowd, so they shoot a woman. And then
they killed Bernice's thigh.
They
shot her in the thigh.
They shot a young girl in the thigh. We find out later that's Bernice, because see what would happen before is Nick Cage noticed a scar and he's like, "Where'd you get that scar? Roller skating?" Just being a dick. And so then dream sequence, and I guess he puts two and two together, and then we see that the man with the white suit and the red gloves went and he like put his hand on Bernice's head. So she's not really his granddaughter. He just kind of took her in after her mother died.
Yeah, that was like
maybe for nefarious purposes.
That was the big reveal, which I was like 20 minutes before it happened. I was like, she's not his granddaughter. Okay, and then it happened. They revealed it. And I was like, let's figure that shit out. Like, just...
I kind of like, though, when movies have those connections where...
Kinda, but... I don't know. Like, we didn't... From the very beginning of the movie, we didn't get any context of what he was doing until the very end. So if you had known some context of how he was abusing the girl at the very beginning, other than just...
That's why she ran away and got trapped in the Ghostland.
Other than just, oh, he has red gloves, then you could have, like, built up your hatred of him the whole movie, and then... be like really satisfying at the end. Oh, and we didn't even mention the maybe retarded psychic girl.
You can't say that word.
Oh my god, but she is. I don't know.
She just screams a lot.
Like, I don't mean it like, I mean like we don't know if she is or not. Like, a Stephen King sort of way, you know?
Yeah.
He loves to use people of mental disabilities with psychic powers. That's what this girl seems to be.
She just screams about Bernice a lot.
She screams random stuff, and she throws her toys, and then she, like, gives prophecies?
Kind of,
like...
yeah. So, okay, here's where stuff happens with his arm. So after he wakes up, he kind of realizes who Bernice is, and he apologizes, and he's like, okay, I'm going to get you home, say your name into my thing, which she still isn't talking yet. Then they get attacked by zombie prisoners? Like, like legit, like in jail costumes and stuff.
But they're not real?
They're ghosts.
I guess? Like, it's not explained. They
and
just happen. And
They all get jostled, and I think he's grabbing Bernice to try to pull her away.
And it's like, okay, you fucking with the wrong bitch, and it explodes his arm.
Yeah, so the thing blows up, and
these are weak-ass bombs. Like, it
blew his ball off.
Yeah, but it only blew his ball off. It precisely blew one ball off.
Not his dick. His
and
dick was
precisely fucked up one arm. Like, I thought it was gonna be like, oh, these things are gonna... Like, this dude's...
You're blown in half.
Also, I didn't realize whenever they were explaining the setup that these were all connected to different thoughts. And so they would blow up for different reasons. So, whatever. So yeah, he loses an arm. He passes out again. And I think we get more flashback, or this is when we go back to the village.
We go back to the village and see what's going on for a while. So the women are kind of fawning over the governor, and he's throwing out money
making
and
it
saying,
rain.
yes, he was actually saying the words,
Make it rain, baby! Make it rain!
but you can tell they're all afraid of him and they hate him.
Like, at first he's just
And then
talking to them, and at some point he sees stuff starting to go sideways, and he's, Gerald, give me my money! Yeah!
Just throws it at these bitches. So then they said, oh, the traitor has returned. So one of Susie, or not Susie, well, maybe Susie, but one of Bernice's friends who she escaped with was brought back. And he has his henchmen execute her.
Well, after he interrogates her, but all he really... You've trespassed against me and mine for the last time, and I need to know post-haste where and when and why she is gone, and more words.
Bullshit like that.
More words and words and words. And then Jiro seems to be conflicted about everything he does the whole movie.
He just looks that way the whole
but
time.
he never doesn't do the bad thing.
You never have the Cordell moment, like in the movie Hannibal, where Mason Verger's caretaker finally has had enough, and he's like, you know what, fuck you, I'm pushing you over into these wild boars that are gonna eat you.
Yeah, he never goes back on what he's been told to do.
He never stands up to the governor. He doesn't have his Cordell moment.
At some point, I'll just mention it now because it doesn't matter, it's totally random. At some point, one of the geisha girls is like yelling at him through the bars of something else that she doesn't want him to do, or she's asking him to stop working for the governor, and she's like, when we were children, you were such a good brother, and you don't really want to do this. I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm still in here, so stop it. It was just this one throwaway, like, minute scene.
Yeah, and again, it all felt like a badly done play.
Yeah.
It felt like a play.
Like, okay, sort of like Tim Burton's Batman. Like, the sets were like a play set the whole time.
Which I never thought about, because I saw the Tim Burton Batman movies when I was a kid, but then I made AJ watch them. He's like, the sets look very static, like a play. So, okay.
It's like that with some Japanese flair.
Yeah, so that's what's going on in the village. So then we kind of have the moment of rallying the townspeople that you see in these Western movies.
Which means we're back in Shittown.
We're back in the Ghostland, or Shittown.
Samurai Town, whatever.
No, not Samurai. Samurai
is
Town
Samurai
is the
Town
village.
where they're from?
That's the village.
Okay, it's all Shittown to me.
Shittown
anyway,
is the Ghostland with all the toilet paper people and rat people and stuff.
So we've had Nick Cage go after the girl. Nick Cage immediately found the girl. Nick Cage leaves with the girl. Nick Cage immediately comes back with the girl again because he got knocked out.
I guess they decide. So what happens is,
so nothing has actually
those
happened.
zombies were the ghosts of Ghostland, and so they're keeping all the people prisoner there. But is it really just because they're in the prison of their minds, or is this real? I don't know. So then, okay, all right, a couple of things happen. So he goes back, and he sees the people in the ruins, and he starts to feel bad. He's like, I've hurt people, I'm sorry. And then you get a close-up on that face with those big eyes of his, and he says, because I am radioactive. Fucking Nick Cage.
Because
then there's a samurai fight.
Well, there was the whole, there's this woman in the town that seems to be like their weird, not prophecy, but like seer bitch.
The one in white? Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like...
And then they'd have like the Greek chorus behind her.
They give a backstory, I don't even remember it, of like, oh, they bombed us, and this is radioactive area.
They tried to escape, and there was a nuclear, a truck with nuclear weapons that collided with a prison bus with the worst of the worst, and they all melted and went to hell, sort of, and now we're all trapped in this apocalyptic nuclear wasteland.
So, Japan's version of the Fast and Furious gang got taken out by a nuke while they were on a prison bus, and now they're fucking with all these people.
That's the crossover I want to see. It's a different way of looking at Tokyo Drift.
Okay, that was...
So Nick comes to rally the townspeople, and he goes up and he stands up by the clock, and I had to write this down because it was funny.
If you had told me 3 days ago I'd be standing here with one arm and one testicle! Trying to reason with you, bitches!
And then he says some other things to rally the crowd. But that was the best part. So they decide... Testicle! So then they decide, oh yeah, we're gonna make vehicles and get out of here and go to Samurai Town.
Yeah, he goes back to Rat Gang and Rat Friends and whatever, and just
like through
flat
the
out,
power of friendship, they get all the
I
vehicles
guess
working.
he's like, can you get all of these going right now?
And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
So we can just go together.
Because he and Bernice could have gone, but I guess he was like, oh, I want to save people and make up for what I've done in the past.
It also doesn't explain how he figured out how to get out of there. Like the cars didn't have anything
No,
to
not
do with
really.
it.
And then right at the edge of town, he sees a man who's all burned and everything. He's like,
Psycho.
You're dead. Burning in nuclear hell like everybody else. You ever do that? You ever burn in fucking hell because your friend betrayed you?
Psycho, all the people we hurt. Ghosts. They're ghosts. Always thought they hated me. They needed me. They came to me for help. Let me help.
Time for us all to be free.
this is resolved too quickly, too. Just all of a sudden, Psycho goes, well, the governor's a real enemy, so let's all, we need to work together
Yeah,
to beat the
he's
governor.
like, come on, bro, you know you did wrong. It's like, yeah, I did wrong.
I did wrong. I'm
I
sorry.
guess I can talk to my ghost friends and let you through.
And they were all like, yeah, it's fine. Go. It's fine.
Like, what the fuck?
Everything is resolved, too. This movie's like an hour and a half long, but it's weird because the major conflicts are resolved very easily. Like, oh, he finds the girl. Okay, she starts talking again. Okay, the zombie ghosts are going to let them through.
Also,
okay.
nothing happens because they keep just back and forth.
So anyway, they're like, okay, let's go get the governor, Boss Hogg, the Jake Mosley. This was so painful by the time we were getting to the end of this movie. It was like, it kept your attention because you didn't know what the fuck was going on, but it was also boring.
Yeah. Also, okay, Nick is the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
Every time he's talking, he's fun. He's insane.
Oh yeah, they needed to give him more.
But they didn't give him enough. Like, he's barely doing anything. So they walk back into town. He's wrapped up his arm or made like a metal arm or something.
One nut is still aglow.
And they show up. They're talking to Boss Hogg, and he's being a dick about handing over the key and everything to swap for Bernice. And Nick Cage is like, I'll kill this bitch. And
Yeah, he's got a
right
knife up
next
to her throat.
And that's when her, like, little adopted sister,
Susie.
whatever girl that I don't know what plane she's on, but she runs over to, like, just a Gatling gun and starts mowing down everyone in town.
Everyone.
No preamble.
Civilians
Like,
and everyone.
Anything she can point at that's not Boss Hogg and everyone to the right of him. Everything else. Geishas and dudes and whatever. Like...
And then she gets shot, which at that point I'm like, I'm tired of hearing this bitch scream and shoot people, so...
This thing where she's...
Her little mouse teeth.
Yeah, like...
So she gets shot. Unfortunately, she doesn't die. But she's hiding off, and Bernice goes and kind of drags her off into an alley. So there's this long, extended fight. And you don't know, like, Jiro, who's the governor's kind of henchman bodyguard, and Nicolas Cage are sort of fighting each other, but then they decide to fight together against the other guys, but then they fight each other again, because doesn't he kill... Oh, because he's got the gauntlet thing. Talk about that. Talk about the fighting.
I don't even understand it. Like, at some point... He kills a guy, but he gets their blade, like, shoved up his arm.
Oh,
and he
yeah, that's
pulls
what
it
it
out,
is.
and now this is what he's doing with his arm, like, fucking... And he turns into, like... How do I put it? It was John Wick and something else.
Django Wick.
Yeah, it's Django Wick. I don't know why the Django thing. Oh,
because of all the shooting.
He randomly get a gun every once in a while and shoot people. But, so, okay, so... He's running through town, he's killing people, and then... A different set of people are trying to kill him, and they coincide with another set of people, and some people are trying to kill Bernice. even though Boss Hogg wants Bernice.
Yeah.
But they're flat out trying to kill her. She gets a little bit of a fight.
So she does like a jump back kick and a sword thrust at the same time. That was kind of cool.
All right.
Chick was proud of herself for doing her own stunts, so good for you. All right, that's cool.
And then Jiro and Nick are the last ones, and they're just like, I'm gonna sheath my thing. And they're like, okay, now's the time. And they go, and Nick just ducks him and like...
Fuck!
And Jiro's dead, and that's it.
He's dead, and then Bernice shoots the governor, and it's like, ding dong, the witch is dead, we're free from his evil reign.
Yeah, after he was like, I don't need you anyway. I can get another one of you right now. Turned into like Dave Chappelle doing a country white guy voice.
Yeah, so Nick gets the key, and he unlocks his suit, so he's not going to blow up anymore, so he's safe. And then they go back and save all the people in Ghostland.
Who didn't come with him?
Yeah.
From, like, why?
Because the clock blows up, and somehow that symbolizes
Yeah,
that
the
all
clock
the people
just
are free.
explodes, and we're like, okay. And then it starts to fall, and we're like, fuck. And then everybody's like...
Just standing there watching it.
Those dumb sons of bitches. They didn't even try to get out of the way. Sons of bitches. And that's the Ghostlands.
That's okay. God.
It's so...
We were so excited when we found this movie.
I wonder if it's better in Japanese. And sometimes they didn't even give us a translation of what people were saying. There was translation of most of the Japanese, but there wasn't. And there was more Japanese people than white people, so I was wondering if maybe this is a Japanese movie. There just happens to be enough of stuff with Nicolas Cage and these other people that they're like...
They could do it in English.
America can take it too.
Maybe.
I don't know, but my God, is it bad?
Yeah, it wasn't fun. This was okay. In our last episode, we talked about how High School Musical was an intended hate watch that turned into a guilty pleasure. This was the opposite. I thought this was going to be like just cotton candy, wonderful stupidity, but fun, and just like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's going to be hilarious. It was a slog.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
Like, it could have been funny, but it was so confusing that you couldn't really even enjoy the...
And I'm like, you can do avant-garde well, but this wasn't done well.
No, this is like, no one told this guy no about anything.
Okay, so you want to move on to recommendations?
Might as well.
Okay.
If you want to watch it, maybe just look up The Parks with Nicolas Cage. Those are funny.
We want
Testicle! And Testicule.
Testicule!
That's it. Those are funny. Everything else is terrible.
Yeah. So I've got one. If you want to see craziness, watch Guns Akimbo with Daniel Radcliffe. And that's one where the premise is like, what the fuck? Like, a guy wakes up with guns stapled to his hands, and he's in this game where he has to basically escape people trying to kill him. And it's all part of this sick video game world, underworld kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like...
And it's just wild the whole time.
If you've seen these movies, it's like the gamer mixed with the Running Man.
Yeah, basically.
So,
and Daniel Radcliffe is
always good.
He's always good. Okay, if you want to see a white guy hanging out with Japanese people, watch The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. I also have The Dark Tower if you want an actual good mix of sci-fi and...
yeah, especially like the
Western.
first 3 or 4 books. Like,
yeah.
there's like...
That's more of the Western stuff. It gets more sci-fi later on.
Books 3 and 5. I feel like are the best ones as far as like the Western sci-fi.
Yep. And those are those two.
The whole series is good, but those are the 2 that you really
get the Western feel. And then also finally Django if you want to see a good shootout at the end. So.
Yeah.
And then also of course the ones that we got more excited about seeing, Mandy and The Color Out of Space.
Yeah, those 2.
Okay, I'm
done. Another combination of Western and weird Japanese anime culture, Afro Samurai, which is it's so weird. But Samuel L. Jackson is the voice. That's awesome. And he plays 2 characters that are like the Afro Samurai and his instability in his mind. Like,
yeah.
It's insane, but just watch it and accept it, and it's awesome. Also, okay, the Mandy thing got me in the mood for thinking of grunge horror type, like 70s disgustingness almost. So in that vein, Cell Block 99 or what the
Dragged
fuck?
Across Concrete.
Well, that, but
Bone Tomahawk.
all of those.
Oh my god.
They're all directed by the same guy. What's the full name of Cell Block 99? Brawl in Cell Block 99?
Brawl in Cell Block
Brawl
99.
in Cell Block 99. It's really good. It's very quiet. And it feels very Tarantino-esque.
It's basically a grindhouse movie.
But it's Grindhouse, but like modern day.
Yeah, it's Vince Vaughn is in it, and he's very good.
Yeah, he's super good in it. And
Mel Gibson is in the Concrete one, and then Kurt Russell is in Bone Tomahawk.
Tons of good actors.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my two. They're all so much better than what we watched.
Fuck, go back and watch Pig with Nicolas Cage. He barely
Yeah,
talks
Pig!
in that. Yeah.
That movie's great, and not even like, ooh, it's a weird Nicolas Cage. Like, it's a little odd, but it's just good.
Well, go watch Face Off. I don't know. Something.
Or Con Air.
Con Air.
Bunny.
Told you to leave the bunny alone.
Bunny,
Okay.
testicles, and...
Oh, God. Okay, Nick, you tried.
I do... Okay. Defense of Nick Cage. I do like that at this point in his career, he's past the tax problems that he had, and he seems to just be doing what he wants. I can appreciate that.
That's cool.
That's cool.
I wish I could be at a point in my life where, like, interesting projects and things come along, and I can either say yes, or I could say, no, I'm good. I'm going to have you know,
And
like
you
a 3 months off, or then I'm going to like, this is going to be weird. Let's
you
just
can
go
do it
go
just
with it.
because it's going to be strange.
Yeah.
So, good
Yeah.
on you, Nick.
Good for you, Nick. We still love you. So, many ways to join our cult and be my victim. We are on Twitch, Discord, YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes. And we are also on Instagram if you want to see pictures of us, Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast.